Okay, so I took this program called MRT, and it's moral.
Recognition therapy.
Yes.
Therapy.
Yes.
So you say, okay.
Okay.
Moral recognition therapy.
I don't know if you know Miss Watkins, but she was my teacher. I hated her. I hated her. But I love that woman now because she really helped me break down a lot of things in my life to forgive and get over, And I feel like if we put that type of program into schools or have it more in the prison, it'll be very helpful to the kids, high schoolers mostly, because that's when you're really getting to learn yourself. You're trying to figure out who you are, and that program helps break down who you are. So personally, I feel like that would be a great place to start.
Honestly, and I just have to be honest about stuff, man. It's becoming so difficult to even come up with a solution to what our kids are going through, what they're dealing with, because we have the lack of parenting. We have not enough positive, strong male role models in our community. Technology is destroying our common sense. I was just looking at a study that's saying that their video games, and of course, phones has played to do with it, is causing mental health issues with our young people, because what they're doing is causing them to be detached from community or how to communicate. And so when you have video games and you have social media network, you have all these different vices that is encouraging disrespect, encouraging depression, encouraging violence, encouraging to be a drug addict. I just never seen nothing like this. I know it was wild when I was coming up, but I've never seen nothing at this capacity. And I honestly, I've just the last couple of years, when people ask me stuff, and I try to get the best answer I can, but I'm telling you, it's becoming so hard. And now with the explosion of the gang life, that's becoming even more dynamic, because these kids are so loyal to this particular lifestyle. And a lot of kids are getting involved, and you got these older guys that want to run these young people instead of helping these young people to find purpose in their life. And don't misinterpret, because we was no different than a gang. We just had neighborhoods. Like we were just, Lithonia, and, you had whatever apartments you was in. So it was that was no different. But I just never seen the loyalty the way I've seen it for this particular lifestyle. So it's becoming real hard, but we do need more money in our community. We need more resources. We need more. There's a lot of there's a little small pockets of organizations that are doing a lot in our community, and they don't have enough financial resources to expand their organization or their programs. But one thing, and I said, we got to get more men involved. I think that's where we're having a lot of issues, and that's why I have a lot of organizations just trying to get more mentors involved. We just don't have enough strong men. You got a couple of, fraternities that's doing their job and whatnot, but I'm talking about when you start going out dealing with these kids that are high risk, that it's like people forget that pocket of kids, but you need men that can get back in there who's not scared, who has a passion to serve, because when you have a passion to serve, kids gravitate to that. And so I'm actually working with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We're working with this, and this is something that you can definitely be involved in, because what they're talking about is this program called Creditable Messengers. And they even have curriculum that's being taught called Forward Thinking. That only creditable messengers are asking me to teach this, because you teach it from your perspective, because we are able to get back into those pockets. Because most kids, they're not trying to talk to them. They don't care about them. They only care about their rights when they're in trouble.
Right.
They're not coming to sit down and talk to no attorney until they're getting in trouble. They're not going to talk to no police, because even some parents, even I've even been in churches where people have downgraded police officers, and to me that's crazy. Because if I get to a place where I can't trust a police officer, then I don't need to be in this country. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to downgrade the same people I have to call. Of course, we got some people in the judicial system that ain't right. We understand that. That's the world we live in. So we just got to get people who are willing to get back in the community, who ain't scared. And we need the community, and we need our politicians, and we need people that can make certain financial decisions to gravitate to certain organizations who are making a difference or trying to make a difference, and help these people, you know, get in a place where they can help some of these young people, because these kids, man, they're unique, and they're only going to deal with people that they feel can relate to them. Not saying all of them, but a large majority of them that's dealing with certain street life, if you can't relate to them, they're not even dealing with you, you know, and that's just where they cut. That's where they cut the line at. You know, you don't know it, you know. So.
Wow. Yes, Skeeter-Jo.
Now, I am not a psychologist, but to me, you know, when I would speak to, you know, some people that I know who are younger, you know, I tend to try to be very logical about everything. And I said, look, you know, everything has a reason. I said, you know, the reason a lot of younger people are the way they are is just basically their ability to reason. You know, their frontal lobe development doesn't happen until the age of 25. They just don't have the ability to reason. Now, it's hard to tell someone that who doesn't have the ability to reason. So, you know, oftentimes, even when my daughter was in high school, and I'm very grateful she went to a Christian school. Thank you, Jesus. But everything seems, especially with teenagers, you know, and I always tell her that, and I even give myself the same advice. Everything seems like, oh my gosh, this is the worst day ever. You know, the judge ruled against me, or you know, with my daughter, you know, you could get so upset about the drama in school. You know how teenage girls are, right? So, but then I always have to remember, it's always so major. But the next day, usually you don't remember it anyway. So I always say, you know, you wait a day, you wait a couple of days. Sometimes you just have to know that it just seems very major at that point. And sometimes that's how I end up having to reason with people who are totally unreasonable. I always say, give it 2 days. Give it 2 days. I mean, sometimes people just need, it's not so much that they need a break, but they need you to sort of prove to them that although, you know, you have to have this, or, oh my gosh, I have to go to this concert, I gotta see Beyonce or I'll die, you know, this kind of way. And then you know, you build up all of these things, or you're like, oh my gosh, this teacher is just trying me, you know, it's the worst teacher ever, who gave him this degree, you know, that sort of thing. And then it has this big thing, and then I go to these people a week later. Do you even remember what you were so up? Because it was such an amazing thing a week ago, but a week later you don't even remember. So sometimes, you know, you have to tell that to children. Sometimes you just have to set it aside. You can't destroy them on the first mistake, or even the second mistake, or even the third mistake. Sometimes you just have to give people a little bit of leverage, and just, you know, just give them a little bit of time, and just remind them, remember that thing that was so, you know, you're gonna die if it doesn't happen, and you were so upset, and now a little while later, because it's just all the ability to reason. Sometimes people just need to take that break, because what seems logical today sometimes is not very logical the next day. You know, and then I think it's just a matter of letting them know, you know, for me, I just always, Google's my friend. Although some of the stuff may be wrong, but I go on Google. Look, you don't have the ability to reason according to Google, so you just need to wait it out. You know, I mean, and it's sometimes that's all you can do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, so the criminal justice system is not established really to help cure a lot of societal ills, right? You know, I mean, that's just, I'm proud to have been a public defender for over 31 years now. I've seen a lot of great reforms that we are moving forward with in this country and in this state and in our community in Dekalb. We have reentry programs, we have accountability court programs, we have a second chance program. But those are, what can we do to help? This person's already trapped in the criminal justice system. What can we do to help that they don't come back into the system? So the criminal justice system is reactive in that way. And we've made a lot of great progress. I don't want to diminish that. I think that we're really heading better. But so I think we need to think about this in a different way. And I see Miss Morris is here in the room. She and I are in a committee. You probably get to more of the meetings than I do. I apologize. But it is looking at minority youth violence as a public health issue.
Right.
And looking at some of these, what's going on in the community, especially with our young people, is more of a public health issue. And how do we deal with it as a public health crisis rather than a legal at the end? So that's one thing I think that is something we should maybe reframe how we're looking at what's going on and approach it from a different way rather than the reactive criminal justice legal system. The other thing, one last thing I would love to hear your thoughts on, and would love to try to get the support in this state moving, is raising the age of what we consider to be a youth. Georgia is one of 5 states in this country that, in Georgia, the minute you turn 17, you are considered an adult. When as far as the legal system is concerned. And as you indicated, there's so much science. I'm very much driven, as you heard, by data, by facts, you know. And
no
the
ability
data,
to reason at all.
it's 20, right?
You're 20 years old and you want.
But yet we are
ice cream for dinner.
17-year-olds in our legal system as an adult. We are throwing them into adult prisons, into adult jails. So that, and Georgia's one of 5 states that has that low of a threshold. So one initiative I would love to see bring to the state is raising the age of minority. There has been legislation that was proposed last year to raise it to the age of 18. So in other words, it would only be until you turn 18, then you're considered an adult. I can tell you, some states it's 21, you know, so I mean 18 is still.
If you're the pediatrician, it's 24.
Right. So it's still low. There was legislation introduced, it didn't go anywhere, and I'm hoping it will continue, we'll continue to press that in the state.
And I agree with everything you said. Kids don't have most to some degree. But I also believe that we don't give these kids enough credit how smart they are.
They are smart.
And the reason why I say that because we wasn't able to obtain the understanding and knowledge the way they are because we didn't have technology the way they have. You see what I'm saying? And let me say this, because I agree with everything y'all said, but at the same time, being out there working with these kids every day, let me tell you something. These kids,
Oh, yeah.
well, we don't give them credit, because I'm telling you, man, I don't been around parents, we go through their phones. Some of these kids are so indirectly and directly involved in crime, it's unbelievable what they're involved in. I was with a kid the other day and we were playing paintball. This kid just went down and told me a whole list of guns. I don't even know one, I maybe know what one gun is. This kid told me a whole list, how to break them down. Unbelievable. I said, son, you can tell me everything about guns? But if I was to ask you something about who was the last president, because there's certain things they want to obtain and some things they don't. You see, because we couldn't grasp Google growing up. Like, we didn't have nothing close to Google. If your mama whooped you, you had a beeper growing up. Like, they didn't play that about, parents are like, you don't supposed to have no beeper, but you know over the beeper. Now these kids got technology and they're able to absorb certain things a lot faster than what we did. And so, even though people say that logically they can't, but I mean, and to some degree, they're not making too many more mistakes than what most adults are making now. Because you even got adults making the same decision that young people are making. And the reason why I say that, because that's the reason why when we directly involve ourselves with these young people, man, like, you have to come at them so much different. I mean, kids they don't care nothing about civil rights. They don't care nothing about that. Don't mean anything to them at all. Things right now logically have to be about money, about what's going on at their schools, the homies, their respect value, the law, that type of stuff is out the window for them. And that's something, like, to me, we just got to go back to the ABCs of nourishing our young people. can't start trying to start here. It just become more complicated
Right.
when they get here. We got to be able to encourage parents to start nourishing their kids here, instilling into them, morals, values, integrity, things like that that's going to help them learn how to be logical about things. If they learn this, you got 2 or 3-year-old kids that can open up a phone, go to YouTube, pull up video games. And my mother just learned how to use a phone. She's 60-something years old. You see what I'm saying? So parenting has to change, for one thing. Parenting has to change. I don't know about we talk about the school system, and we know that some of the school system has been broken down. But school don't start at school. It starts at home. I mean, we just really had to be real about what's really going on out in our community. A lot of it starts at home, man. You know what I'm saying? We're more about how good our kids look than we are their education. We're more care about, and that's what I went through in my own personal life. That's why I know some of my kids are going through it now. Because I hear kids. One particular case, I asked a young man, I said, "How you and your mother's relationship?" I don't know. She be in a room. She be in a room on her phone all the time. I don't know. That's traumatic, man. That's trauma. That's trauma on top of trauma. So they don't even know how to socialize. They don't even know how to communicate with anybody because the first communication starts in the house. So you can't imagine if a child comes to you and say, "Hey, what's up, Charlotte?" You can't even be mad at him because he don't know no better. Because he would never taught better. You know what I'm saying? So you almost just have to feel sorry for the young people because they thrown into a situation and we expect better from them, but you can't expect better when they was never taught to be better. We just have to pour into them what we have and hope they grasp to it, because she only changed because she started wanting to change. That's why Moses called freedom is a choice, because you have to start making certain choices. Because once you start learning how to pick up a phone and learn how to do certain things, get a girlfriend, pick up a gun, break down a gun, get in the game, you start learning how to think different. You know what I'm saying? And we just have to be real about what's really going on in our community, man. We can't keep beating around the bush or like we don't know what's going on. A lot of us know exactly what's going on. You know, a lot of us starting at home. You know, it's starting at home. We got to change that, man. You know?
Yes.
2 statements. I heard Burrell Ellis and the
Claudia.
public defender talked about criminal justice and reform. That's coming, but so I have a question. How do we practice criminal justice reform when we talk about the cash bail system? We talk about people who have money that is able to get out, and people who stay in jail and lose their house and lose their car and lose their job. But we practice that even in our own county with our sheriff, who was charged with a crime, able to get out, go back to the job. But how do we explain criminal justice reform when we're practicing the total opposite even in our own county? Also, I hear you all talking about how the youth are so lost. But I don't hear anybody going to their state rep or their state senator. I don't hear anybody complaining about music that's playing, and derogatory music that's playing. When you hear women being degraded in the streets, when you see people fighting on Facebook, when you hear all the negativity, I don't see the people coming out in protest of that. When you have rappers that degrade women in their music and spit on them and urinate on them, we praise that and our kids see that, and we buy that stuff for them to listen to. We buy them games, shooting games, and all that kind of stuff. But we complain about how they acted in the community. You can't live on the double-edged sword and think everything's gonna be peaches and cream. You can't say we need to save our youth, but you're buying them video games where they're killing people. They listen to music where they are degrading women. They see videos where people being shot and robbed. We buy that stuff for them, but then we say our youth are lost. Come on now. We gotta face the reality and the ability of truth. We gotta stop living in this fantasy world. There are a lot of things that are going on in this country, in our county. We are allowing it to happen.
That's true.
We are allowing it to happen. We are allowing a sheriff to get out of jail and sit in the sheriff department. And I hear you all say that you all give people signature bonds. So I did some research on that. There is actually 230 people in DeKalb County Jail that has the same charge that Jeff Mann had, and they have not been given a signature bond.
Are they currently in the jail?
They're currently in the jail, yes. So once again, we saying one thing and we're doing something else. The question is, when we're gonna stop saying it and actually do the work? Because there are people who are getting signature bonds, but there are 230 people in DeKalb County Jail that has the same charge that Jeff Mann did that has not been given a signature bond, and Jeff Mann was able to bond out of jail and go back to work and still get a paycheck. And there are 230 people on there that is not able to do that. And guess what? They probably lost their job and their car and their house.
Sir, so will you do me a favor, email that information?
I guess I will, sir.
We have
I definitely will.
that's actually watching them, and
Yes.
so we're paying attention to that, and that's one thing Claudia talked about, that we're actually looking at right now.
Well,
And
I would make sure to get your information before I leave, and I'm gonna send you that information because one thing I do in this county, I speak a lot in this county, all over the county. I have a good team of researchers, and we go out and research information. So when Samson Burrell speaks somewhere, I'm gonna bring to you a whole lot of facts because before I talk, I'm gonna bring you the facts. And one of those issues was that I've been speaking about for months now, is that we have a sheriff that was charged with a crime, pleaded guilty, able to go back to work, and there are people in that county jail with the same charge that's yet to get out.
Okay, like I said, would you email that to me?
I will, sir.
And I will do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Two things real quick. Omar, I really commend what you're doing. We need more men like you who have been through the criminal justice system, who have experienced all these things. What you got caught up in was Senate Bill 440. And young lady, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but y'all got caught up in Senate Bill 440. Whereas, you know, if you're a part of a crime, you know, that was put in place in Georgia to incarcerate more African Americans, primarily more Hispanics, take you off the street, take you out of circulation, you know, so that you got caught up in that. The young people, I have spent the last 30 plus years of my life working with NAACP, and I've been working with the criminal justice system, state level, local level, national level. And I once had the opportunity to talk to a gang leader, and I asked him, I said, what do you do to control these kids, to keep them in tow? He said, one word, fear. When they bring them into the gangs and they recruit. The problem in the community is people in the community who are not in the criminal justice system, they don't believe what you're saying, what you're trying to say. You know, they are in denial. In DeKalb County, when we were trailing them 20 years ago that we had a gang problem, oh, don't say that. We don't want DeKalb to be known as having a gang problem, but we do then and now. The young people, here's my question. They don't seem to have a fear or any aspects about life. You know, they seem to think, well, I'm not gonna live past 25, 28, so it doesn't matter what I do. And if anything happens, I'm gonna hold court in the street. I'm not going to jail. Do you see that mentality?
Yeah. Well, you know what?
And why? I mean.
Well, once again, I think we talked about that briefly. I mean, it's just what our kids are being taught through social media, through videos, through music, you know, and it's a reality. It's a But what I want to share with you, real brother, I didn't mean to say young brother. Every panel discussion I'm on, every program I go, Port of Sanford, all over. Do you look at the age group that actually be here? Do you see how many young parents you actually see in? So the people that we see fight are the ones who didn't come up through this era, who has a concern, a general concern for this era, all right? But the parents that allow what you're saying and what we're talking about, they're not here until their child is in trouble. Now they want support and help. And so this is where we have to get out of the community. We talk about voting, right? But you can't really talk about voting. People don't know nothing about voting. We want to vote Stacey Abrams because he's black. Right? We want to vote Obama in because he was black. Yeah, I would have did it too because I want to see a black president. I want to see a black governor, but not really knowing what politics is. We don't understand it. We're not being taught it. We're not being taught finance. You see what I'm saying? And only people you see in these communities of people is my elders. You see what I'm saying? Even when I go to the CHAPSI programs, and it's 150 people. I swear I'm the youngest person in there. You see what I'm saying? And that's what's scaring me, because we don't have young leaders, and the young that are, and to some degree, in some leadership, they're concerned about their own life and business. You see what I'm saying? We live in a selfish community, man. You know, you really want to be honest about it. We live in a real selfish community, and the people that are here are people that really want to be here. You see what I'm saying? But how many people here? Well, we know we got a couple people that's under 30 years old. But how many people here are at least 50 years old? You see what I'm saying? So we don't have the majority of people that we need, what you're talking about, to be in here, so we can point to them about how we, because I've watched parents go in schools, right? Fight about a phone.
Yes.
But won't even go to a PTA meeting because the kid's school look horrible. Won't even go to these community events so you can talk about the school I grew up at, Elementary Stoneview. Man, they need to tear that place down and put a new building up. Right? But you don't see the parents out there protesting about, we need a new school over here in this community. You see what I'm saying? I spoke at a father, son, donut, coffee, whatever. You know what they do in early in the morning. And I did this at Stone Mountain. I swear, I did 2 events in 1 week. I spoke one in Buckhead, and I spoke one in Dekalb. Right? Went to Stone Mountain. It was 3 parents there, and I'm one of them, and I'm the guest speaker. I go to Buckhead, majority white, and it's packed out. Packed out with kids and parents. See, that's a breakdown, not just in, because we can talk about, you know, we talk about, our kids are lost because some of the parents are lost, and some of the parents are selfish because they're more concerned. And I've told a lot of parents, you're more concerned about your relationship than you are in your relationship with your child. And I ain't saying that for trying to down about it. I went through it with my own mom. I just had discussion with my mom. Just had discussion with my mom, like, and she said, baby, you know, I really didn't realize that growing up. I didn't even sit down with you and tell you about, you know, ask you what you want to be in life. And you can probably go and talk to the majority of kids now. How many parents actually sat down with them? You know what I'm saying? And grandparents and they tired. They shouldn't even be sitting in here. They should be at home enjoying retirement. But they have to get out their chairs, come up here, and get results. Can't even talk to their own kids because they don't want to listen. So that's where we see the problem at. You know what I'm saying? The people here are the people that want to be here. You got guys here who in fraternities. I always see them at the same event, but I don't see 25 of them at the event. Why? You know what I'm saying? People that really can make a difference. Some of our pastors, all these powerful pastors, they should be in here. All right? No, it ain't said it's just a joke, but people need to come to a reality of what's really going on out here. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Like, our kids are lost because look at the generations. They're lost, and then you don't even see civil rights leaders growing up no more. You don't even see people, and people make protests. Now they protest out of just reaction. They're not even being proactive. They just, we're going to protest because this white officer shot this black kid.
But ask them what they want.
Yeah, but then right here in Camel Road, right here in South Dekalb, how many murders we don't have when it's black on black? Then we can talk about slavery and the repercussions of slavery. We all know that was an issue. But then there comes a point when you got to embrace the choices that we make in our own communities. You know, nobody told me about selling no drugs, no picking up no gun. I picked up my own gun. I sold drugs because I wanted to sell drugs. There were many opportunities I had to get out the streets. When I got my first job at the McDonald's, that was my opportunity to get out the streets. But I went back into the streets, and then that's where I got caught up in all the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? When a kid can sit there, I promise you can put $100 here. And this shows you why kids think. You can put $100 in this book. Put a $10 Nike shirt here, a $20. You put $1,000 in the book. Put a $50 LeBron James jersey. They're gonna pick that shirt. LeBron James. They're not even gonna pick up something that's gonna educate them. Because parents at home are not even teaching them to read. Our young African American males. I also encourage literacy. I use my book, and I'm getting people to donate money to buy books. I'm giving them to kids inside the juvenile facilities to encourage, not just because it's my book. I make a few dollars. I done gave away more books than I've sold because I want kids to read. Start reading, young man. You start reading, you'll start finding out who you are. You'll start educating yourself. But if you was never taught to read, you were never pushed to read, you're not going to read. You see what I'm saying? So You know, we really have to get into, and I don't want to blame past people like, well, the church ain't doing that. Well, some people just need to go to church. Some people need to go to church and get in their programs.
Right.
You can't blame everything on the church because go to the church and get in their mentor program. You want your kids there? Take them to church, get them involved in the mentor program. You can't blame the church if you're not going to the church. You know, because we quick to point our finger like, well, this church ain't doing. I just say our pastors need to be in these positions because I still think they need to be the backbone of the community.
That's right.
All right, but we got a lot of commissioners, we got a lot of judges, lawyers, doctors that should be here.
Right.
Some of them got money that they can make a difference. You don't see them here. You got people that 100 black men of Dekalb County, 100 black men of Atlanta. You got Alpha, all them should be in here. They should be filling up these things because some of them folks have the resources to do stuff. You might see one person here from them. You see one person from this organization. Why they not packed out? You got young men in there who can help make a difference, who can show her how to be an entrepreneur. Man, you know how hard it's been for me as a young man, to try to figure out life. At 44, I'm about to be 44, and I'm still trying to figure stuff out, man. I finally just got my own place right down the street. Man, I ain't had no help. Ain't nobody help me. I just got a heart to serve my young people because I know the reality is if you make certain decisions, you're going to die, man, or you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, we can blame and we can point our finger, but at the end of the day, man, we got to get more people in. We got to get more family members in here. We got to get fathers back to being fathers, mothers back to being mothers. My elders, man, they should be at home. They don't work. They don't work. They don't enjoy their life. They don't retire. They should still be retired.
Right.
But how many people here, you got 4 or 5 people here who's even 19, 20 years old, or right at 20 years old, or up under 30 years old. But the majority of my elders.
Hey.
That's a problem. No, I'm saying, like you said, when you don't even feel like you're going to make it past 25, that's a problem.
Right.
And that's a serious issue that we got to be concerned about. When I was at Georgia State the other day and I asked them, when I spoke up there, I said, and there was about this many kids, I said, how many of y'all know somebody that done died of violence? 99% of them put their hands up. I said, how many of y'all know somebody who dropped out of school? 99% of them dropped. Man, when I was going through school, you couldn't even ask that. Man, you might have had one person who stuck their hand up. But it's becoming a norm in our community. And our kids are getting numb to it. You know what I'm saying? Even some of us are getting numb to it because you got parents now. You got most adults, oh, I ain't fighting no more, I'm gonna shoot now. But what you think a kid gonna do? You speaking it into existence.
Yes.
You know, protect yourself because that's our right to do. You know what I'm saying? But man, we don't want to talk about the reality no more. You know what I'm saying? And I'm right with you about the sheriff. I mean, we can't preach a sermon to our kids. We can't preach a sermon to our kids and then turn around and show something different in our community. You know what I'm saying? But we see that all the time everywhere. I mean,
nobody wants to speak on it.
Yeah, but I mean,
we speak on it.
I mean, people speaking on it. We just ain't at every program where they speaking on it. But I just want to share. I'm sorry, man. I get emotional about that, man.
I know.
Just our kids, man. They're losing the battle, man.
Yes,
They don't have
The
to.
reason I know we're short of time,
Yeah.
I just want to say, part of my question, I want to encourage y'all to stay in touch with you. What you're doing is critical, you know, to what we need done. And the Public Defender's Office, I am so thankful for the changes that you're making with the defendant because a lot of people, when they go to court, they're talking to the public defender attorney right before they go into court. That's not enough time to prepare or to represent or do anything. And then like when Omar spoke about how the detectives and the police is writing out the statement for him and encouraging him to plead, you know, against what really happened in the situation. That's part of the problem too, is incarceration, you know. But I want to stay in touch with you because I encourage in public defender, you all are coming up. You know, you all are doing much.
Okay. So I want to do this because I do want to thank you guys because
Thank you for inviting us.
this was really hard to put together, right? It's so much going on with the criminal justice system that I know it was a lot on our agenda, but I think we kind of put it to where people will understand where we're trying to go here. It's a reality to the madness. Yes, there's things that we're doing, but there's still a reality to the madness of what we're having to deal with today. And then too, how we brought it back into how we need to vote on issues. That's what we vote on. We vote on issues. So to use the tool that the ACLU has on the web, we will send that out to the members so that they understand how they can actually be resourceful and educated as well. Omar, you know, if you want to support Omar, get his book. Just support these people anyway. Because one thing I know we talked about in our meeting was making sure that when you do come out into the community, that we welcome them. That we not looking at somebody and saying, oh, they was in prison. So, you in prison every day. We are in prison every day. Because right now, guess what we have to do? We have to lock our door, right, to be safe. I grew up where you didn't have to lock your door. Your door was always open, right? On Sunday, everybody sat down and ate dinner together. You see what I'm saying? So when someone was saying, take back some of this, we gotta go back to our fundamental morals and values that we grew up with. This is what we had. We need to put it back into the community, one house at a time. And I'm gonna end it with that. I know someone had a couple of questions.